Hi folks, this is Tim Garman for SIT on NZDP101. We're going to have a look at the select and mask function, and I've got this photo of a black wing stilt open, and we're going to try and select the outline of the bird as if we were going to isolate it. So I have over on the tool panel, I've got the quick selection tool selected. Now we could try selecting it ourselves and it'll probably do a pretty good job of it. We could also use the select subject option, which is quicker, but maybe doesn't do quite as good a job. As you can see, it's not quite got the neck here, so we can refine that. If we hold the Option or the Alt key down, you'll notice in the cursor where there's a very small, possibly too small for you to see, but there's a plus symbol at the moment. If we hold the Option Alt key down, it turns to a minus symbol, and we can edit some of the outline that we've got selected. And there's a few areas that we might want to look at, perhaps the tail, maybe around this little crab that the bird's caught. I'm not going to go into that sort of detail for this because I want to get this done quickly for you. One tip I will give you though is to how to increase or decrease the size of the brush quickly. If you hold the Control and Option or Alt key down and move up and down, you'll see the hardness changes, but if you go from side to side, you see the diameter of the brush changes. So that's a useful quick shortcut for adjusting. Once we've got a selection, and it doesn't have to be perfect, we now need to create a mask, and we need to do this before we go into select and mask. So at the bottom of the layers palette there are some icons, and the one available on the left is the layer mask icon, and we click that and it gives us a mask. And as you can see in the layers palette, we've got a mask. The black areas show the areas that are concealed. So once we've got a mask, and making sure that the mask thumbnail is selected, not the image, we can, in the properties panel, we can click select a mask. We also get it in the options strip as well. And that takes us into the select and mask interface. And at the top, we've got different ways of viewing. Now, I often like to see the mask itself because that gives me quite a lot of detail to work on. But we can view it as we would see in Photoshop, or various other options. We can view it on black with an option to change the opacity as well, which can be useful. I'm going to look at the mask, and over on the left we've got some tools. We have a refine edge tool, that's the second one down. First one is the quick selection tool, but the refine edge tool is the one we want to work with. So let's use our option to change the diameter a little slightly larger, and we're going to go around the outline. When we do that, you'll see it begins to pick up some detail. So particularly around the neck, it's picking up some detail of the feathers, and that's important because we want to see the edge. Now we can blow up this image to look more closely. We can see it's picked up the feathers very nicely there, but one problem we have is that these grey areas will be transparent or partially transparent, so we want to remove those. Next tool down is a brush tool, and we can go in and just paint out some of that. And you might want to zoom in more closely and get quite close to the edge, but without destroying the edge that we've created. So you'll need to go around and do all this, and as I said, it can be a lengthy process, but getting some good results is worth the time spent. When you're happy with what you've got and to adjust what you've got, there are plenty of sliders and options for editing that edge. So do play with those to see what gives you the best result for the image that you're working on, and it will vary. Also make sure when we look at these the refine mode, we have an option for color aware and object aware. Now I've got object aware selected, and that's particularly good for selecting hair and fine detail, like in this instance feathers. So it's another something that you might want to experiment with to try different options. Go down to the bottom. We want to make sure we have layer mask selected to save what we've got. So let's go OK. Now we can see it needs further work because I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But one other thing we might want to do when we go back into this, and we can hit select and mask again to refine further, and we can obviously sort some of this edge out and some of these grey areas. But we might also want to use the decontaminate colours option, because when we look at the image perhaps on a black background, we see that there's a bit of a white line around the image in places. So clicking that button can help to remove that. You'll see now as we look at the layers palette that Photoshop has saved our second refinement as a new layer.